Hello, Region 12, and it's that time. It's time for a Windows operating system update. We are now going to Windows 11. We're going to turn it up to 11. And most of it seems pretty familiar. It's fairly easy to use right out for the first time, but there are some things that might make you feel like someone moved your cheese. So in this series of videos, I will show you the top 7 things, I don't know which one's backwards, the top 7 things that I think most people might want to know about. So that will get you running a little bit faster. So let's go ahead and start. Number 1 is going to be your taskbar. It's the thing you're going to notice first because look at that. It's right in the middle. It's no longer on the left side. Well, mainly your start button and all of your icons. They're usually over there on the left. So it makes more sense just because our monitors are getting bigger. So it's nice to have it in the middle. You have to go all the way to one side or the other. But if you want it back where you like it, you like your cheese over on the left side, come down here to the taskbar, right click and go to taskbar settings. Once this opens up, you're going to go down to taskbar behaviors, click there, and from there you'll be able to see that you can align it to the left. Everything moves to the left. If you want it back, it's super easy to take it back to the center. I'm going to keep mine on center because I like it right there. I think it's nice. Notice that there also will be 4 things in your bar that you cannot get rid of by right-clicking on them and saying unpin. You have to do that from here. So if you don't want the little widget thing that shows up and you don't want the little chat thing that shows up, these guys right here, you want to get rid of those, you can turn those off. I would recommend leaving the other 2 because you will need those probably at some point. And don't forget, you can customize that taskbar to pin specific applications that you might use on a regular basis. So if I need to pin my Loom application and I search for Loom, that comes up. I'm going to go ahead and right click on it and I'm going to say pin to the taskbar. And it'll now live down there whether it's open or closed. You might have also noticed that one of my options when I had that Loom right click menu up is that I can also pin it to the start bar or the start menu. If I do that, let's go ahead and hit our start button again or our Windows button and we'll see that Loom is now part of that menu. So you have 2 options for that. And if you have something there that you need to get rid of as you did in Windows 10, right click and say unpin from taskbar. And the last thing about the taskbar that's just important to know, if you do leave it in the center, that when you hit that menu button, your power and your restart is all right there in that menu. We're used to it being over on the left side, but the first time you do it, you may think that it's gone. It's not, it's just in the center. Go ahead and hit that start button, find that power button, and you have your options. Number 2 is snapping. I'm going to show you about 3 things that have to do with snapping. One of them has been on Windows 10 before. You may just not know it was there. So let's go ahead and start. First one is just window snapping in general. If I grab any window on my screen and I drag it to the side, it will give me that little pop-up, little translucent window there. I will let go and it automatically resizes it to the right side of the screen. And if I want to grab another window for this side, it'll automatically resize that one. When I hover over the middle, it will give me an adjustment bar. So when I move one side, it moves the other side. The other thing that is now new that I am super excited about and actually does the exact same job that the Dell Display Manager does on our computers. If I want to tile them in a specific way other than left or right, I can hover over the expand button, and you have to hover. Most of us are just going click. If you just go right there and click, you'll never see this. You do have to leave your mouse on it for like 1 or 2 seconds without doing anything, and then you get this cool little menu. So if we want to do this like 2x1 grid here, well, maybe we want the this ESC Works page, or not ESC Works, ESC website up here in the top right. I'll click that, moves it up there into the top. Now it says, okay, over here on the left side, which one do you want here? Let's put our Word document right there. And what do you want over here on this bottom right side? Let's put our File Explorer, and automatically tiles those and adjusts them perfectly. It's really cool. Now let's go ahead and just minimize these. We got them out of the way. We didn't need them anymore, and we're working on something else. And we was like, oh, we start thinking, I need to move that. I need to open that back up. I'm not working on this WordPad thing anymore, Notepad, whatever this is. So I'm going to come down here to open up my Chrome window, and I see there's the window that I needed. And notice it's actually in the spot where I left it. But if you look over on the right side of where I'm hovering at, there's actually a thing called a snap group. If I hover over that, it brings back everything that I had before and tiles it perfectly. It's important to know that those groups only stick if you minimize the windows. If you pull them off like this and break them, they will not be part of the group anymore. Number 3 is your quick settings. This one's really fast, just nice to know. Down here at the bottom where you have your Wi-Fi and your speaker and your battery, before you used to be able to click and you got a little menu pop up for each one of them. They're all now in a menu that's very familiar to like a phone or a tablet. You have those buttons, those really big buttons at the top, and you can adjust your volume and your brightness just like on your phone. You can also edit these buttons if you need to. If you right click on this menu and go to the edit quick settings, if you click that no pin button, that'll take it off. You can also come down here to the bottom, click add, and you can add any of these to this little quick setting menu if you need any of those instead. Once you're done adding or deleting, hit done. Number 4 is virtual desktops. You've always had virtual desktops in Windows 10, but this new button and interface makes it a lot easier to use and a lot more intuitive when you realize you need to use it finally. So if you're not familiar with virtual desktops, it's where you can essentially make virtual monitors off to the side in virtual land. So if you have one screen that you want to keep like all of your Excel spreadsheets on, and another one where you want to keep all of your Chrome windows on, and just keep all of your work separate through desktops, we can do that. So let me go ahead and show you how you do that and an example of how that works. So right now I've got lots of windows open. You can't see them all because they're stacked. But I'm going to come down here to our new desktop management tool. Down here, we have this little gray and white overlapping box. And you get this little pop-up. The pop-up's good, but what we're going to do first is we're going to click on the button. Don't just hover on it, click on it. And it gives you this whole like readout right here of every window I have open, and it shows me what desktops I have available at the bottom. So I want to take this Region 12 website, and I'm using this Word document with that information to create that document. So I need to keep that on a separate desktop. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to create a new desktop, just hitting that plus. And now I have desktop 1 and desktop 2. I'm going to go ahead and rename that so it makes it a little bit easier for me. So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to say rename. And we'll call it Google brochure. Come back over here to desktop 1, and we can see everything that is open on desktop 1. But I want to go ahead and move those things over to desktop 2 or my Google brochure desktop. I'm going to take this Google website, I'm going to click on it, and I'm just going to drag it down here to that desktop and release. I also want this document, so I'm going to take it, I'm going to drag it down here, and I'm going to release. So they're both on that virtual desktop. So if I come back over here to desktop 1, these are the only ones that I see right now. If I switch over to desktop 2 or a Google brochure, click over to that one, there are the two windows that I brought over here. They are now sitting on this desktop separately. You can also switch between these fairly easy. If you take 4 fingers and you swipe them on your pad, left or right, that will take you to the other desktop. So go back to the other one. There's Google brochure, back over to this side, Region 12 page, and my file folder. So again, you can hover to switch back and forth, and you can add multiple desktops, but don't forget also to actually physically click on that button, and it gives you the readout of every single thing that you have open. That's really handy, especially if you have lots of windows open. Number 5 is personalization, because let's be honest, that's really what we all want to do on our new laptops. So easiest way to get to personalization, I'm just going to right click right here in the middle of the screen, and I'm going to go to personalize. That'll take me to my settings and make sure we're in the personalization section over here on the left. I'm going to go to themes first as the third one down. And this is a really cool area where you can pick these pre-made themes. They will change the background of your wallpaper for you. Well, the wallpaper is your background. That's weird. Anyways, they'll change your wallpaper for you. And it will also change, you can see from these little previews, it'll change the color and the translucence of each one of the windows that pops up wherever. It will also change the color of a lot of the icons, and it will change the color of some of the text, just depending on how the theme is built. So let's go ahead and pick one, because right now we're using kind of a lighter theme. We're using this one down here, and we're going to change it to a darker theme. So let's use this one right here, this blue with a dark background. You got to give it just a few moments because it does take time to change everything. But there you can see everything is a lot darker. If you look very closely, you can also see that these panels are kind of translucent. If we go ahead and minimize this screen, we can see my wallpaper's been changed and the color of this taskbar has been changed. You can even see that that's translucent a little bit. You can see a little bit of that image coming through. Let's go back into the settings and let's change to this one right here. And so you can see that it's pulling more red out of this one. So some of the buttons will turn red instead of dark blue. And you can see at the very bottom, that taskbar changed red. And you can also see that these icons up here, since it's in dark mode, the text is white and the icons are now red. I'm going to change it back to the lighter color just because that's what I like. So back on the personalization page, let's take a look at colors now. From here, if you just want to use a primary color, a solid color for all of your stuff, and you don't want all that theme, you can do that from here. I also want to point out that you can change what mode you're in straight from the colors. So if you want this light mode and it's not giving to you, or you want a dark mode and it's not giving it to you, you can switch it from here under the colors section. And that transparency thing does bother some people. You can turn that off. So transparency effects, you turn that off. If you watch the bar at the bottom right now, I'm going to turn this off. You will see here in just a second, because it does take a little bit of time for it to turn all of those things off. That bar is now solid and we can't really see anything through that. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on because I like the translucent thing, but that's just me. The last thing under personalization is the background. If you just want to change the wallpaper or you want a slideshow rotating through the wallpaper, you can do all of that under background. Now we're on to number 6, and this has to do with your right-click menus when you click on a file or a folder. So let's go ahead and go to this folder right here on my desktop. I'm going to right-click, and you'll notice immediately that a lot of your options are changed or they're gone completely. It's a much more condensed menu. Also, a lot of the commands that you saw before are now icons. So there's your cut and your copy and your renaming, and your trash is up there, or your delete, all up at the top. They're not words. If you want to see that menu, it still exists. You just have to go all the way to the bottom and say show more options. So look at that if you're ever missing an option on a right-click menu. Number 7 is just a fun one. It's the dictation tool. It was in Windows 10, but it's so much better now and it's even easier to get to. So let's say that I have my notepad up and I need to start typing. This works anywhere where you can enter text with your keyboard. So anywhere you can do that, internet, Word docs, notepad, anywhere where there's a cursor where you can type, this works. I've got my cursor in. I'm going to hit Windows key and H. The computer is now listening to me, and as it listens to me, it will put the dictation or put the words on the sheet for me. It will even understand if I have a question. Why is it so good? Why does it delay sometimes? No one knows. If you hit Windows H again, it'll turn it off. It'll stop listening to me completely. But if you go ahead and look at the text here on my screen, notice it added commas, added periods. It did add question marks to my questions. So I'm going to come down here, and this is going to be important. If you want to add that punctuation on that little gear right there, you will want to turn on auto punctuation. It is off by default, but I think it's pretty good, so I might turn it on. But it's as easy, again, as hitting Windows H. It starts listening, and as soon as it figures out what you're saying, it will start writing it down, and it'll try its best at the punctuation. Windows H again to stop. I don't know about you. I think that's pretty cool. Well, there's my top 7, and by no means is that all of them. You may discover some along the way. I'd love to hear about them. But good luck getting to know Windows 11.